This is the New Writer Podcast. I'm Matt Brotherton, and each week I detail my journey as a storyteller in hopes it encourages other writers struggling to live their dreams. Show notes and videos can be found at newwriterpodcast.com. And now, here's the show. Welcome to the New Writer Podcast, episode 26. I'm your host, Matt Brotherton, and this week I'm going to talk about making author plans like mission statements, 5-year plans, life goals, and just keeping it real. But first, the weekly update. It's been a pretty bit of a slow week. I've only had about 58 free downloads and $2.26 in sales. Of course, since those sales come from Germany, I don't know the actual amount until Amazon pays me because exchange rates change. So that's based an estimated $2.26 off of the current euro to US dollar exchange rate. But it is a bit of a milestone for me because this week marks the first time that the second book in my series, Fallout, has sold in Germany. So that was pretty exciting for me. My writing this week has been a continuation of my experimenting with voice dictation. I've been using different recording tools like my Bluetooth headset and my super cheap digital recorder to try and record not just sitting here with my blue microphone, but also out in the field. And I'll say, so far, the best field experiment device has in fact been my super cheap, $19 made in China recorder using a really cheap headset microphone that I bought at Walmart for like $7 5 or 6 years ago. So in this particular experiment, more money has not necessarily equated to better results. Although I will say the Blue Snowball microphone here is by far the best results I get is just right into it, and that's like 99% accurate now. I'm actually really impressed with how fast Dragons learned my speech patterns and things. It's pretty cool. One of the other things I've learned is the best way to get from my field recording home is to record on my cheap audio recorder using my headset, and then instead of uploading the file or using an auxiliary line in from my computer to go directly from the recorder to Dragon, is to actually use the built-in speaker here and set it down next to my Blue microphone and just hit play. And I don't know why that would be better than going straight auxiliary in on the microphone itself or the recorder itself, but it does work better with the way I have things set up right now. I've heard that the Apple, the iOS Dragon dictation app is much, much better than the Android app, which doesn't surprise me because people like to waste money on Apple products. So I'm not quite doing a consistent 150 words per hour yet, but I'm getting pretty consistent results of over 100 words. Words per hour, 150 words per minute yet. I am getting a pretty consistent over 100 words. Part of the problem is I'm not 100% used to punctuation, and so I have to consciously think about putting that in there still, but it's starting to come a lot more naturally. And I think given a couple more weeks of experimenting with it, I'll just have a hard time not saying punctuation while I'm talking normally. Where I come to a little bit of trouble is if I want to say a word like comma or period, then those things just kind of appear as the punctuation in the dictation, and I'm not sure what voice command I need to be using to make that not happen. Fortunately, that comma doesn't come up all that often, but I think period does for me as a writer, so it might also just be bringing to light the fact that I use the word period too often. one tip that I'd also like to share with you guys is like, you have no idea how much easier this makes transcribing handwritten text to digital format. It's like when you're writing out loud, yeah, when you're reading out loud, you have to train yourself to, you ignore punctuation. So that's a little bit different but you have it all written there. So like, you're not thinking about it. You just have to force yourself to do the punctuation and say the open quote, close quote, period, new line, things like that. But really, it's so much faster and easier to just read something I've written by hand into my microphone than it is to like read it, type it, because I have really, really tiny handwriting and really bad eyes. So I can't like set my notebook out in front of me and type. I can't read it if it's that far away. So that was something I thought was one tip that was worth letting you guys know about. So I wasn't really planning on talking this much about dictation software this week. So we'll just leave that behind. I'll talk about it a little more when I'm a little more comfortable with it and I've actually finished a project with it. So where I really wanted to go was talking about making 5-year plans and mission statements and things for authors. Because this week I read the Indie Author's Survival Guide. And unfortunately, I forgot to look up Susan K. Quinn. Okay. All throughout the book, she refers to herself as SKQ. And I just kind of when I was putting together my notes for this episode of New Writer Podcast, I put down Indie Author's Survival Guide by SKQ. And I don't have the best name memory, so... but it took me a while to come around to actually reading the Indie Author Survival Guide because I have a giant ego. And honestly, the information in this book is out there in lots and lots of different places, and I had told myself, I know it. But none of those different places consolidate it all together quite the way Susan Quinn does. It's like, this is a go-to starter book for most new authors. Like, if you're completely new to indie publishing and you know nothing, this book is going to give you a pretty good leg forward. Now, the reason I finally got around to reading this one was because Susan K. Quinn has been on a lot of the podcasts I watch lately to promote her new book, For Love or Money, which I have picked up now. But when I first started seeing her everywhere, I got really interested in reading For Love or Money, but it was on pre-order. It didn't come out until this week. And I'm only about 25% of the way through that one, so I don't want to talk about it yet, although I imagine that in a couple of weeks I'll be talking about it also. What I did in the meantime was I did read Indie Author Survival Guide. It is part of Kindle Unlimited, so both of those books are. So if you're in KU, if you're a subscriber, you can pick them up. There is a lot of information in the Indie Author Survival Guide that you should already know, but if you don't, this is a good place to get it. Also, just knowing it doesn't necessarily mean putting it into action, which is where I've been, is I knew these things were good ideas, but I've never actually sat down and done them because I'm lazy, I guess. So I decided to do this week was actually put those resources into action to do the steps. I'm trying very much to spend 2015 building better processes for myself, and I felt like doing these steps would be part of that. So, I've created both a mission statement and a 5-year plan, although I've had a 5-year plan before in the past and just kind of ignored it. So hopefully this one sticks better, but it was there. I also sketched out what it is like to have what my version of a dream writing lifestyle is, so that I can define what success means to me and put together my production schedule for the next 18 months. So I thought I would share with you guys what my mission statements are, what I think they mean, and what my goals are and things like that, and just, you know, give you guys an idea of where I'm at and maybe help you craft your pieces of those. So, Matt's mission statement. I am going to leverage my unique voice, humor, and insights to create entertaining and engaging products that that make people reconsider their preconceptions. I'm going to invest time and money on improving my voice and my ability to create compelling written and audio content. I will then use those creative endeavors to provide a path to economic self-reliance. So, what does that mean? Well, leveraging my unique voice, humor, and insights to create entertaining, engaging products means that I'm going to be myself and not anyone else ever. Like, I'm just going to do my thing and tell people to eat a dick, basically. I guess what to make people reconsider their preconceptions means is it comes from the fact that I grew up in a household where argument meant discussion, or discussion meant argument, more accurately. So I'm kind of a natural troll, but I don't believe in just being a dick for no reason. So I want to create works that take that like stubborn refusal to see the opposite side of something and just force it down someone's throat. And I think my readers like that about me. And that's a goal I've always wanted with my writing. Even when I first started blogging in 2010, that was I wanted to take the less popular opinion and see if I could find out why it was the less popular opinion and how to make it so that even though people didn't necessarily have to agree with it or believe it, they didn't judge it as just being stupid out of hand, which I think is the ultimate sin in our world. So to invest time and money in improving my voice and ability to create compelling content. So this is my line about actively devoting myself to improvement both as a writer and in all of my other creative pursuits. It also means starting to save and spend money for things like more professional covers, blurbs, possibly interior book design, maybe getting a new website down the line, things like that. Just like building up that professionalism level of my business. And so there's a little bit more of that in my business plan for 2016, but that's kind of where I'm at with the dedicated to improving both time and money. So compelling written and audio content means that I plan to not only continue to pursue writing as a career, but also do more things like this podcast and audiobook narration, stuff like that. I really enjoy doing this, and I would like to get better at it as time goes on and create new and better products. And I have a secret project that is on my business plan that I will not talk about today coming in the pipeline that might follow along with those lines too. I also might branch out more with video at some point, but honestly, I definitely have a face for radio, so I'm not sure if I will be getting into too much video. So to use those creative endeavors to provide a path to some economic self-reliance, and what that means is to continue to learn the marketing side of things and pushing myself further and further down the commercial line, so I can reach what I consider my writer's dream life. And that's what I mean by economic self-reliance is that chunk. So that's my mission statement and what it means to me. I guess you can really pretty much condense everything down to make stuff, make money, be awesome, make money, I guess would be okay. But I really want my mission statement to stay there for a long time. So I kind of gave myself room to grow, but at the same time said, this is what I want to do. Okay, so after I created my mission statement, be awesome, get paid, I also put together a 5-year plan. And again, I've had a 5-year plan since pretty much I had 2013, since I moved to Montana and started writing. This one is a little more, I don't know, I'm not good at writing 5-year plans. This is something I'm going to have to keep working on regularly in the future. But here it is. So year 1, continue to build a backlist of full-length works and short stories to hone my craft and gain loyal readers. Year 2, increase profit productivity while optimizing older work from pro covers, blurbs, and marketing. Year 3, have at least 15 books and 3 series in the market, as well as smattering of short stories and flash fictions and some non-fiction pursuits. Year 4 is to continue to build on all of the previous years while streamlining the process so that I will no longer have to have my day job. And year 5 is to achieve full economic freedom, making a full-time living from writing and other creative pursuits. So, really, it's, spend the rest of this year just focused on the writing and getting the backlist built. Next year, and when I get to my production schedule, you'll see that like what I plan to do in the next 5 months is the same amount of writing as like all year next year. And both are pretty aggressive, but I think I can make them. So this year I'll do the writing, and then next year I'll do half as much writing, but I'll focus on building more of the covers and blurbs and building up that aspect of my business. So here is that production schedule. Matt's production schedule for the second half of 2015. 1. Finish my space opera, which is 70,000 words. 2. Write a 6th book in the Seven Keys Saga series. This one focusing at about 80,000 words. 3. The Fallen Trilogy Book 1, which the first draft is already written, 75,000 words. 4. My story for the Queen City Creatives Anthology. The length of that one is still to be determined. 5. A spin-off series for my Seven Keys Saga 60,000 word novel. 6. A collection of nonfiction essays totaling around 60,000 words. So those are, that comes out to like 420,000 of the 725,000 words I have available if I continue to follow my writing schedule this year. So that's doable, but pretty aggressive. I'm going to have to really work on it. I think some of those things might have to get backburnered to next year, but I really feel like my plan that I have, my schedule I have for myself now will let this happen. So, writing schedule for 2016. 1. Seven Keys Saga 7, 80,000 words. 2. Space Opera 2, 70,000 words. 3. Cyberpunk Cowboys, 70,000 words. 4. Spin-off series Book 2, 60,000 words. 5. Short story collection, totaling 60,000 words. 6. Second nonfiction collection, totaling 60,000 words. 7. Dinosaur Alien Invasion Extended Serial, 5 books at 15,000 words each. So, those actually seem like a lot of words, but like I said, it's following my schedule. I think I can make it happen. The 2016 word count is actually pretty, like I said, pretty much the exact same as what's left for the second half of 2015. I know I can do this many words. I've wrote these I've written this much work in the past. I just have had a really crappy first half of this year and been really lazy and behind. And so I'm like setting particularly aggressive goals for myself so that I can push harder in the second half of the year and not let myself fall back into that laziness now that I've started to build up some momentum and steam. I also kind of like the idea of focusing on getting my content streamlined by the end of 2016 as I'm doing the optimizing on my other projects. So one of the other things I want to do is I want to start brainstorming a list of podcast topics for this podcast. I do enjoy using it as a weekly journal space, but I think having some episodes pre-written and into the can and ready to go is a huge benefit, and I need to do that. So one of the things on my list that you probably noticed was a short story collection and a couple of nonfiction essay collections, and there's a reason for that. Is I'm going to start doing something weekly on my blog at mabrotherton.com, either a 1,000 to 2,500 word short story or a 1,500 to 2,000 word nonfiction essay. And when I say nonfiction essay, I kind of intend for that to be a humorous essay, like it's always been my secret desire to be Dave Barry or David Sedaris or, Mark Twain. Just to find something that piques me and keep running with it and making jokes. I used to do that a lot on my blog when I first started blogging, and I think that's what actually built my original readership, and I'd like to get back to that. I miss doing it, and it's hard for me to dedicate time and say this is what I'm going to do when I should be writing these huge things. It's hard for me to dedicate time to writing a blog, but I wanted to put into my production schedule, this is a thing that is going to happen every week, just so I can keep that in my life, and then say, and if I do it well every week for the next year, then I have a book also I can put together and sell, as long as I mark on it that all of those are available online, which I will, because I hate when I buy a book on Kindle and it's like just a copy and paste series of blog posts, and they never say, like in the blurb, these are all available online, but you can get it down for 99 cents all in one place, which I'm totally okay with. I'm just saying, it drives me crazy. Which brings me to my final point, which is establishing what I want my life to look like so that I know what success means when I get it. Primarily, I think of myself as being more mercenary as a writer than I really am. I kind of use money as a metric that it's not necessarily what I actually want it to be. So I really needed to do this exercise, because I don't necessarily want to be like stupid rich and make tons and tons of money, like go Hugh Howey, but I don't need that much cash. I want to be comfortably lazy rich, which means having enough money to spend time, like to pay all of my bills, and then hire someone else to do all my chores. So I only have to spend time doing the things that either continue to make me money, writing, podcasting, things I enjoy anyway, or, nothing. Because when I was asked what I would do if money was no object, it was obvious that the answer would be nothing. I'm kind of lazy like that. I really, if I had nothing to do, I know from we're not working for 6 months, I will lay on a couch and watch TV for 17, 18 hours a day. Which is one of the reasons I'm not worried about losing, like getting out of my day job quickly. And one of the other reasons for part of my dream writer's lifestyle is to have a separate office space away from my house, somewhere I have to, get up in the morning or at noon and get dressed and take a shower, get dressed, drive to work to this office that I've rented, and then write and do my writing and work. Like I said, I know from my past experience, I know myself, and when I don't have a job that forces me to get up and go to work every morning, I will just spend days not bathing, laying on a couch and covered in my own filth, like eating buckets of fried chicken and wondering why God hasn't smitten me yet. Smoten me yet? Smited? One of those. Why God has not shot lightning bolts at me yet. So, really, before I can ever leave my day job, I have to be making enough money not only to pay all of my home bills, but also to pay all of the bills for a small office space. And honestly, when I started looking into it recently, just to get an idea of how much that money is, The shared office spaces that you can get in most cities are not that expensive, like, because I don't need anything fancy. I need a room with a desk and a computer and some internet access, really. And honestly, I only need the internet access like once a month. So that's it. It really, it's about the same as renting a 1-bedroom apartment. So anyway, I just need that to feel like I'm still a person, or I know me, and I'll fall into a depression and get into a funk, both literally and emotionally. Of course, there's still a lot of stuff to work out, logistics on that right now. So based on how long the script for this episode is, at roughly 2,500 words, it's going to be about 25 minutes long. I haven't actually been paying attention to the clock today, so I hope you guys don't mind that this is a pretty long episode. But I think I covered a lot of stuff for me in there, and I hope it helps you. I would love to hear from you on what your mission statement is, how you define success as a writer, and what you want in life, because I would love to hear from you guys. So just leave me a comment on newwriterpodcast.com or YouTube, or send me an email, contact@newwriterpodcast.com. I really look forward to hearing from you guys. Also, if you want to come on the show and tell us about your story and your writing, I am always open for guests. I do not have necessarily a stringent requirements like some of the other podcasts have of, you need to be super wealthy, successful author, but I like to encourage new authors who are just now starting and getting their voice out to come on and get some practice with podcast interviews, and maybe help you build your audience. So give me an email, contact@newwriterpodcast.com. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for listening to the New Writer Podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe on YouTube and iTunes. We welcome reviews and appreciate your feedback. If you have questions or would like to be on the show, please email us, contact@newwriterpodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a nice night.